In this video, we're going to start working with the collapse component. So let's open the folder and now let's open the collapse. You can see we have collapse, or this is also known as accordion in other frameworks. So they are really helpful, especially when you have a lot of content and you want to show a lot of content in a really small space in your website. So they are really handy. So I'm going to add a div and I'm going to add an ID. You can name this ID whatever you want. I'm going to add this as accordion. Then we have the role. It's going to be a tab list. And we're going to add another attribute to make this accessible. We're going to add multi-selectable, and it will be the value equal to true. So next we add a div with the class card. It's going to be using some of the styling in the card component. So then we add a div and we're going to be using card header, and we add role tab, and then we have the ID. I'm going to add this as heading 1. So you can name this ID whatever you want. Just make sure that you remember these headings on accordions. So next we are going to add an anchor. And the anchor will link to another section of this in just a little. So we're going to add, let's add something like web design. So we're going to add an accordion of services, something really simple. Then we add a data toggle, and this will be collapse. So this attribute will tell the JavaScript file that we're going to be using the collapse or accordion in this section of the document. So next you add data parent, and here we're going to add the accordion, and I'm going to set this as an ID. So use the pound sign and paste. So whatever you name this, just add the name right here and make sure that you add the pound sign also. So we're going to add service 1. This href doesn't exist. We're going to create this in just a little. And we're going to add area expanded. We're going to set this to true. And finally, we're going to add area controls. And it's going to be service 1 in this case. So we have this service 1 when you click here on web design. So we need to create that div in this to make this work. So we're going to add div. And now you can see that the card should grab all the content. So we're going to add a div. And we're going to add an ID. The ID will be this service 1. So you can paste right here. And then we add some classes. These are bootstrap classes. So we're going to add collapse and show. So we're going to show the first element. Then we add a role. It will be a tab panel. All these roles and area are to make this accessible. Then we add an area labeled by, and this will be a heading 1. Yeah, we have heading 1 right here, so we're going to add heading 1 with text. And then I'm going to add some lorem ipsum. So some lorem ipsum right here, and I'm going to click here on view tools of graph so you can see better what's going on. So next I'm going to add a comment right here that says card, so we can see the closing card element. And I'm going to make a copy of this card. So paste right here. And we're going to change this heading. And I'm going to change this to 2 because this one is already heading 1. So I'm going to add heading 2. Remember that an ID is an unique element in your document. So next we're going to add service 2 right here. And also service 2 right here. This will be the link between this text and this section. And we're going to change this to app development, something like that. From here, I'm going to remove the show because this one, the first one, is the only one that is going to be expanded by default. And finally, we're going to change this to heading 2. So we have heading 2 right here with number, and we have heading 2 with letters. It doesn't have to be that way, but I'm using this And I'm gonna copy this. So finally we create the final part of the collapse, and we're gonna have something like e-commerce. And this will be heading 3. So we change this to heading 3. And finally we change the service 3 and service 3. So now you can save this and reload. And you can see that we have web design. There is something that we're missing here, is that we need to add an extra div, because you can see that this is taking the edges of the div. So I'm gonna add another div called card block. And inside I'm going to add the content. So cut and paste right here. So I'm gonna select everything from here, copy, and replace this text. Replace and replace. So reload this and save this and reload. Now you can see that the styling is better. You can see that also thanks to this show class, this one, the first one is expanded. So we have web design and it's expanded. You can click here on app development and you can see that web design is collapsed and this one is expanded. Finally, we have e-commerce and web design and everything is working. So these are the text that is being printed right here on the top, this web design. And make sure that these href are pointing to the div with the content. That way you make the connection between the text, for example, web design, and the content that is here on the service one. The web design know that this exists because we have the href set up right there. So this is the collapse. Great. If you have a lot of content and you want to display this in a small portion of your website. So in the next video, we're gonna continue with the modals, another really common component in the Bootstrap framework. So let's continue in the next video.